What's up, everybody? Today, Neil and I are in the lab, and we are going to be changing the motherboard on this monster V3. One of the reasons I'm doing this video is because we wanted to get a video of an instructional video for beginners who have never changed a motherboard together. So, on that note, one of the things I'm going to be doing here is we're going to be showing you how to diagram your old motherboard using this tape. It'll really help you. It'll help you not have to think too hard about where things go when you're putting your motherboard back together. It'll make things a lot easier for you when you're doing that. And so me and my man Neil are going to show you that. And we'll give you some instructions along the way. And again, there are a lot of people out there who have done this many times. They already know what they're doing. Oh, let me do that again. There we go. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there who've done this before. They already know what they're doing. Obviously, this is not for them. If you haven't done this before, this technique should actually help you out a lot. So, we're gonna get started. You gotta say what's up, Neil, man. Yeah. Yeah. So we're in the lab, man. We're gonna get it done, and we're gonna show y'all how to do it. There it is. Peace. All right. So the first step is to open the cover. Once we do that, we'll fast forward the vid beyond this part, but we'll open the cover and then we'll show you how to mark the motherboard. You don't want to mark the new motherboard. You don't want to take that off. You want to put tape on your new motherboard. So yeah, guys, as it turns out, there's a newer version motherboard for the V3. So it's different than the motherboard we're pulling out. So the whole method that I was talking about using the multicolored tape, that was predicated upon you reinstalling the exact same board, which would make it easier to label that way. So what we did instead, because of putting in a different motherboard, is we just used the motherboard diagram that you see here. And let me put that there for a second. That's it. That's on my iPad. I don't know if you guys can see that, but we're just using that, and we are labeling the tape. But we're just using the same color tape, but we're just labeling it. Let me show them. So we're just labeling the tape. I don't know if you guys can see all that too, and then we're just gonna put that tape on the cables, so we'll know where everything goes. So you can see how we're labeling each wire, and you really got to be careful pulling out these connectors because you don't want to break them.
Unless if you know.
Guys, say what now?
Unless if you know how to put it.
Right, exactly. Unless you know how to repair a connector, right?
We have them, so it's easy.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, but nevertheless, you want to minimize any extra problems you could encounter when you're changing your motherboard. So definitely want to be careful pulling out these connectors. And Gotway puts all this white shit, this toothpaste all over the motherboard, and it just makes everything more complicated. You gotta scrape this shit off before you pull connectors out. You know what I'm saying? But that's just what it is. And when you're scraping the toothpaste off, please be very careful, because you can easily, slip and stab your motherboard or cut a wire or damage your connector. So you really have to be careful when you're doing this. Obviously, Neil is highly skilled, at this. So he's a highly skilled professional. So we don't have too much to worry about with him doing it. But if you haven't done this before, you want to really pay attention and just accept that this job is going to take you longer the first time than it probably will all the subsequent times you might have to do it, because it's the first time. And you want to take your time on that first time that you change a motherboard. Definitely want to take your time. So if it takes you block off 3-4 hours. It might only take you an hour and a half or 2, but you want to block off a significant amount of time so that you can go at a pace that feels comfortable for you. Okay, so this is the old motherboard that's about to come out. We're going to reconnect it. You can see that we have labeled each wire. Tells you where it goes. Fan, speaker, all these are labeled. But it's labeled in Neil's handwriting, and I can't read his handwriting, so I won't bother to try to read this shit. It says something right here. I mean, I don't know what the fuck, what does that say? Oh, buzzer, okay. Yeah, so they're all labeled, as you can see. That's the point. That's what I'm showing you. They're labeled. And so when we put in this new motherboard, you can see it's very different. You can see one of the configuration of these connectors here are in a triangular shape, and these are clearly in a straight line. So you can see it's a different design motherboard. So that's why we had to change the method of labeling. But it's working out well, so we'll get back with you guys on that. All right, so now we're about to install this new motherboard and connect these connectors to it in their proper places. And of course, we have a motherboard diagram which tells us of this motherboard, which tells us how to reconnect each piece. And that's how we know which way to label it. So that's that. Get back with y'all. Okay, so we're gonna have to waterproof some of these holes because the new motherboard is gonna leave these exposed, and that's a way for water to get in and damage the motherboard. So we're gonna block these off with some silicone and reseal the wheel. Okay, so I don't know if you can see these motherboards. This is how the old motherboard came out of the wheel. You can see that a major difference is that all your connectors, a lot of your connectors, they're clustered in this one area up here. So the wires stretch and they reach to these connectors. On the new motherboard, you have a different problem. You have connectors that are spread all over the board, all over the breadth of the entire board, pretty much on this right side of it. This is how it'll go in. So now the challenge here is you may have wires that no longer reach to their proper ports. So because now you don't have your connectors clustered in this section of the board, they're all over the board. So now you have some wires that might not reach. So what you might have to do is reroute some of these wires so that they can actually reach their proper ports. That's one of the challenges we encountered, but wanted to make you guys aware of it as before we proceeded, because that might be something you have to figure out as you're changing your motherboard, if you ever have to change a monster motherboard from the old style to the new style, or any other wheel from an old style to a new style. The wires might not connect in the same way, so you have to make sure you have the proper links, and and that you can route all the wires properly to their ports. Amen.
Good thing about them, so they have long wire.
Yeah, the wires are long on this wheel, so it's not that big of a deal. But who knows what kind of challenge that will cause on a different model. So yeah, now we're just waterproofing that spot I mentioned earlier with some black silicone. You don't want water getting in. Gotta make sure it's properly sealed. So yeah, now we're just waterproofing that spot I mentioned earlier with some black silicone. We don't want water getting in. Gotta make sure it's properly sealed. So guys, the new motherboard is now installed. Again, the wires are labeled. We haven't started connecting, reconnecting the wires yet, but the new motherboard is installed. The base is installed inside the wheel. We've sealed off the holes left by the old headlight module that would allow water through now. So that's done. Now we're going to start connecting it, and that's that. So we'll let y'all see that. Alright, so it sucks when a plan doesn't come together. Here's the deal. We took the motherboard apart. We installed a new motherboard, as you can see here. She's pretty much installed. We tested it, turned it on, but it wouldn't power all the way on. So we kept toggling the power button, and it appears that the power button, the wheel turned on once or twice, but it won't consistently turn on and off. So that means we got a problem with the power. That indicates that there might be a problem with the power button. So we're going to take the MSP over here, and we're going to take the power button off of that one, and we're going to switch it to this wheel to see if it works, to troubleshoot it, see if that power button works on this wheel. Not just a nut.
Not just a...
Alright, so as you can see, it's a mess in the workshop. You know, got everything out. New motherboard is in, still tagged. This is the MSP C30. So what we did was we took the power switch off of the C30. And we're going to try to swap it with the V3 Monster. See, V3 Monster, to see if we can make that work. So we had to solder some new wire onto the power button from the C30 to make it work. The wiring on the Monster was a different gauge. So what we did was, and the connectors were rearranged. They were opposite of each other, the positive and the negative terminal. So what we did was we switched it around and resoldered the wire with the proper connector, and now we're going to try to make it work. So let's hope that it works. Long day. It's supposed to be a simple motherboard swap, but didn't actually turn out to be that. This is a harrowing journey.